Person one loves person two. Guess what? Shenanigans ensue. Person one hates person two. Guess what? Still shenanigans ensue. Person one fake dates person two. Guess what? You guessed it. Shenanigans ensue. Co-host one reports to co-host two. The name of the show? Shenanigans ensue. Yeah. Hello, I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Jane, and welcome to Shenanigans Ensue.
A podcast where I should have stopped in all my evil plotting to have that manicure.
Always need to take a break to have a manicure.
Honestly, yes. I mean, obviously, she didn't have any time between all of her scheming, but still.
Priorities.
The wrong ones, but sure, priorities.
Exactly. That's why he's calling her out. Anyways, each episode we'll watch a rom-com and discuss its merits as a member of the rom-com genre.
We'll cover well-worn classics, hidden gems, and everything in between.
We'll give you our unsolicited opinion on every trope, caper, and flim-flam the film used, or maybe abused.
And of course, the shenanigans! Oh boy, so if you don't recognize the quote, this episode is My Best Friend's Wedding!
And just to get this out right at the top, things are rough in the world right now, and
very much so.
Yeah, we need to find joy in the places that we can. So if this movie brings you some sort of comfort or is a favorite of yours, this might not be the episode for you.
Because it didn't bring us joy, and you're going to hear a lot about why.
So there's a bit of a caveat at the top. We don't usually do this, but...
Yeah, I think that it's fair, because I think that this movie entrapped me, and I'm not trying to entrap you, the listener.
Just so that we all consenting adults.
Correct. Oh boy. I guess initial thoughts, if that wasn't already clear enough.
Oh. I was surprised in an unpleasant way, will be my general thoughts.
Agreed.
Because it's all actors I really like, and somehow this movie made me hate Julia Roberts.
Truly. So before we fully dive into this mess, let's give you a plot synopsis.
When Julianne finds out her best friend and former fling Michael is getting married, she decides to do everything she can to stop the wedding.
Shenanigans ensue.
Sorry, I didn't give you a line at all.
I don't care.
Okay, it's done.
Yeah, so right off the bat, it was so frustrating that a laugh and a person who typically brings me joy and puts a smile on my face with their work made me so deeply uncomfortable and unhappy.
Yes. It was a very weird experience to have Julia Roberts' laugh viscerally affect me.
Yes.
In fear.
And to be fair, the director is well known for subversions.
Yeah.
And I think people should go into the film knowing this. I also think that I probably would have had a very different experience of the film had I gone into it knowing that Julia Roberts doesn't win. Because I spent the entire film anxious that she was going to get what she wanted, and she did not deserve it.
I was so stressed right up to the last 5 minutes.
The last 30 seconds.
And I think if I'd known going in, like you said, she didn't win, my anxiety would have been a lot lower.
Yeah, I might have had a little fun.
Yes. Which was desperately needed.
We've talked about this a little bit before. Listeners, please let us know if you have an example. But I don't think that rom-coms are a genre for subversion. Just to be perfectly frank.
You're coming in wanting to have a happy ending.
Yeah. And I think, Jane, you had previously said something about what could have fixed this for you in regards to ways that they could have treated the script or the ways that Julia Roberts could have been more endearing.
Yeah, so Jess and I were having a conversation before we started recording just to sort of pass out our feelings about this a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was saying that I don't know if I would have been as upset with the subversion if they'd done a little bit more to establish Julia Roberts and Dermot Mulroney's relationship. Like if we'd seen more of them, more of their chemistry. Also, if she didn't go right off the bat so hard, determined to break up this marriage. And also, if the things that she did weren't so grossly overstepping all kinds of boundaries. Not that I'm advocating to break up a marriage at all, but I think there are more whimsical ways that you can point out people are wrong for each other,
Yeah.
aka Patrick Dempsey in Maid of Honor. So I don't know if I would have minded that she didn't end up with the guy in the end so much if they hadn't made her character so unlikable.
My argument, having now seen this movie and having seen the breakup when it came out, I just cannot get behind the subversion of the film genre.
Yeah.
Unless you're extremely forthcoming about it. I mean, obviously the breakup is in the title alone.
Yeah.
But I saw that when I was in like high school, and so it was my first experience of subverting the genre. And I remember vividly leaving that film and being like, life is hard enough as it is. I went to see a comedy and I don't feel good.
Yeah, which totally fair enough.
And so I don't really appreciate that. And again, My Best Friend's Wedding is another subversion attempt. And I do think that it has plenty of redeeming qualities. I do think it's filmed incredibly beautifully. And I do think that the director had a clear vision.
And the actors did really well too.
Right. I just don't appreciate being told by the internet and everyone at large that this is a rom-com and having an anxiety attack like the whole way through. It's basically like a weird in-between of Gone Girl and Fatal Attraction, and it's billed as a rom-com, and I just don't really appreciate that.
This movie would have been such a great psychological thriller.
Correct.
This movie would have been amazing if we had it from either Kimmy or Michael's perspective.
Or George's.
Yes, I mean, George needs his own movie, frankly.
Yeah, George needs the rom-com.
Yes, oh my goodness, give George a rom-com. That would be fabulous. I'd watch the shit out of that movie. This would have been a fantastic psychological thriller from Kimmy's perspective. Because I think she's a really interesting and nuanced character. Like, she could easily have just been painted as this bimbo who's all airy-fairy and just wants to get married and has stars in her eyes and all of these stereotypes. But she's actually a very interesting character.
Yeah.
I ended up relating to her way more than I did to Julianne, which is a problem for your rom-com.
But that's the thing, right? Kimmy wins, so it's not really a problem in the subversion.
No.
It's just a problem that you've taken a well-loved actor, Julia Roberts, and made her so unlikable.
And I don't mind seeing Julia Roberts in a villain role either. I think that's actually quite interesting, which is why I wouldn't mind this as a thriller.
Right, but don't, to steal a phrase from Lovebirds, don't piss on my back and tell me it's rain. So I don't fucking appreciate it.
Exactly.
Honestly.
And so that's what I was getting at, is like, I think it would be very interesting to see Julia Roberts play a villain in a thriller.
Absolutely.
But this is not being billed at that. You're supposed to be rooting for her.
And you're doing all the tropes lightheartedly as if you really are in a rom-com, and it doesn't fit.
No.
The stakes of what she's doing are so high.
Yeah.
And her cruelty
Yes.
is so intense that you can't possibly tell me this is a rom-com.
It doesn't tonally feel correct. And as we've said, there is a way to do this. We've seen something very similar in Maid of Honor, that you are kind of rooting for Patrick Dempsey's character.
Or a TV show which heavily inspired our intro song,
Ah, yes.
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, is seasons and seasons of a person who shouldn't win, constantly being in relationships and ruining the people around her. And it's still done in a way that's charming and funny.
Yeah.
This is neither.
And I mean, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend arguably subverts the musical genre. She does not end up with someone.
Right.
Her happy ending is
working on herself.
Being a fully healed person. Exactly. It's like her being a work in progress is her happy ending. And it's not with a romantic partner. So there is a way to do it, but the character is likable enough that you still root for her even when she's doing things that push your anxiety to the limits.
Yeah, because I think a lot of it is that they're by and large benign pieces of mischief, right? Yeah, like you said, that there might have been a way for Julia Roberts to be more likable that would have made this okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or her actions.
I just don't know that it's doable over the course of one film.
4 days.
Yeah.
I think what helps in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend as well, as much as Paula enables Rebecca, she and the other characters are calling Rebecca out on her shit constantly.
Which is why George is the best character in this entire film.
Yes, George.
No contest.
By far. We needed Michael to be calling out Julia Roberts' character because he just lets all this slide, which is so bizarre to me.
It's because they have a toxic codependent relationship. Again, why he shouldn't be with her and why it's good that he ends up with Kimmy, but it's still just tough. It's tough to get through it if you think that there's a chance she could win. I think that really is a big part of it.
And I'm still stressed for Kimmy and Michael, even though they got married and they did it. I was so relieved.
Yeah.
But I'm still concerned.
They can't be friends with her. She can't ever talk to them again.
No. And I don't think that he has the ability to cut her out of his life.
And also, please, for the love of God, everyone needs to sit with their feelings over the fact that relationships are not games to be won.
Right? He did his exit with his bride and they leave and I'm like, oh, thank goodness it's over.
And he still came back.
To seek out this woman who almost destroyed his wedding to give her her own individual proper goodbye. He isn't capable of letting go of her. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, Kimmy needs to block Julianne's number, change their address.
Move states.
Yeah, do whatever it takes. I mean, they can stay in Chicago, but like, Jules needs to stay on the coasts. Just stay on the coast, Jules.
Yeah.
Let the two of them stay in the interior states or something. I don't know. And never the two shall meet again. Please.
All of that said, there's a lot of rom-com tropes in this movie.
There are.
There's so many.
And some of them are good.
Yes, yes.
We've got friends to lovers, but subverted. We've got love triangle. We've got the best but gay friend. A stereotypical gendered career situation. Fake dating and engagement.
This was done so well.
This one was a really good fake date engagement.
Yeah.
We've got meddling friends, except the meddling friend is the supposed heroine.
Yeah.
We've got a ring getting stuck on the wrong finger. That's always pretty fun, to be honest. And we have a dramatic chase. And this is truly a very good dramatic chase. I will give it that.
When you were reading through the tropes, I was going over them and I was like, some of them have been done really, truly well.
Yeah, that's why, like, I'm not mad at the director. I think the director did an excellent job accomplishing exactly what he wanted to accomplish. I just feel like...
The goal.
Yeah, I didn't actually consent to this film. Like, it's really how I'm feeling.
So which trope would you like to hit?
I would like to start at the end with the dramatic chase.
Such a good execution of this trope.
It really was. The dramatic chase starts with Jules making a final gross attempt at Michael by kissing him.
That kiss was so awkward.
Yeah, at the brunch the day of the wedding.
After she's just gone back and forth between two of them, convincing the other that they should marry each other.
Yeah, after helping.
So it's extra icky.
She yo-yos about 3 times in the film between, I'm gonna break them up, they're actually great together, I'm gonna help, I'm gonna break them up again, no, I mustn't. And the yo-yo is interesting to watch, but makes for an unlikable human. So they're sitting underneath a beautiful covered area in the woods and they kiss, and of course, Kimmy sees them. Michael, seeing Kimmy's reaction, chases after Kimmy, and Julianne, having just kissed Michael, chases after Michael. All three of them are now running full tilt across the lawn of this lovely, what do you call these things? Like a golf estate?
Family home estate?
Yeah,
I don't know.
they're in this lovely upscale estate, running across the lawn, screaming and crying, which leads to them each getting into 3 different cars and storming off.
So
but,
funny.
Jules is visiting. So she is going from car to car looking for a car to literally steal and ends up with the hot dog wagon. What the hell was this car?
I don't know what. And the irony of her going through trying to open all the cars, and she's like, everyone's so untrustworthy these days. She's literally trying to steal/borrow their car.
And she does just drive it and then, abandons it on the road. And all the while, for the 3rd time, George is trying to remind her that she's being insane.
Yes.
She calls him on the phone, and George has to say, hey, so you're chasing Michael, and Michael's chasing Kimmy? And he says to her, so who's chasing you?
Mm-hmm.
And she still continues to give chase. Girl, take the L.
There's your answer. He's chasing Kimmy. He's not chasing you.
Sometimes you take your lumps and you go home. That's it.
Yeah.
Girl.
I mean, after throwing the biggest of Hail Marys, that was beyond a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
And you still weren't successful in your endeavor? Just leave it alone.
And again, the acting in this scene is incredible.
Yes.
Every single character had very clear intentions on their chase and why, and it was very funny.
It was very entertaining.
It's just not likable.
Yeah, and it was really funny to watch them run across this lawn while the rest of the wedding guests are enjoying this breakfast before the wedding.
Yes.
Cut to them watching Kimmy go past, and then they're like, that's interesting, and just go back to their breakfast.
I think even the mother looks over at them and says, oh, yes, that's Jules, the maid of honor. It is a very good dramatic chase.
Especially because they build it in at the beginning of the movie that Kimmy can drive like a NASCAR driver.
Maniac.
Wild.
That was actually a really fun character trait.
Yes.
To be such a sweet, unassuming young woman, trying to finish an architectural degree, willing to throw it all away to chase a man. But boy, she can Tokyo drift this one. It's very good.
In Chicago traffic.
Right.
And then a very fun payoff that this skill comes in particularly useful when trying to get away from your fiancé who's just kissed your maid of honor.
It's so good. What's your favorite trope?
I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the fake dating.
Oh, yeah.
/ engagement.
Very good.
First of all, this is a trope that I really enjoy. I think it's funny and interesting to watch play out because there's so many layers of what's happening when you see this trope. But how they subvert this trope is that the fake dating is happening between George and Jules, and there's no romantic tension because George is gay, and she gets George to come over for moral support, and George is encouraging Jules to tell Michael her feelings, and he's kind of lurking around in the back of the store where Michael is getting his suit tailored.
Yes.
Very awkward.
Knocking things over.
Yeah. Playing with the mannequin. So Jules is trying to spit it out that she has feelings for Michael in front of this tailor, where I'm like, I feel so much for this tailor. No. And so when the 3 of them kind of regroup, and George and Michael both say to each other at the same time, congratulations. And George is like, wait, what? Jules springs this thing on him that she hasn't told him how she felt and has now lied to him, saying that George is her fiancé.
Yes.
And to George's credit, he commits to being the perfect fake fiancé.
He even takes off his pinky ring.
Yes.
And gives it to her as an engagement. He also, oh my God.
He joins in for lunch. That lunch scene is
I was just going to say that.
wild. Is that what you were going to talk about?
Yes. This whole entire film manages to be a psychotic cocaine fever dream. And George coming up with
Oh my
a
word.
meet cute to tell the family
Their backstory.
at the lunch is truly a thing of beauty.
A work of art.
And then it turns into the entire family. These like buttoned up, waspy types all singing a song loudly in the restaurant together. How did we get here?
I felt like I was in a different realm of existence.
Yeah.
Entirely. Wasn't the song I'll Say a Little Prayer for You?
I think you're right.
It was.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
And that's not the first psychotic fever dream moment in the film.
No. It opens with one.
Yes. At least 30 minutes before this insane scene, I had messaged Jane to say, Jane, am I actually dreaming and in a coma right now and you're visiting me in hospital? Because I cannot believe that anything that's happening right now is real. And the film just does it over and over and over again. It's insane.
I mean, I was living for it. It was making me cry laughter, but it was a similar experience to Moonstruck, watching those random singing numbers. Like, I felt that same surreal, out-of-body...
Right, or like seeing the thought process with some of the characters and why they're doing the things they do. It is like watching Moonstruck. You're just sitting there like, no. What?
My goodness.
I think I laughed a lot at George's story, especially because the whole meet cute backstory that he's created.
In a rehab facility somehow.
Right.
Involving Dionne Warwick.
I don't think it's a rehab. I think it was a mental institution.
Oh.
Because it's not the real Diane.
Yes. I forgot about that detail.
Yeah, and he's made this all up.
Yes.
None of this is real.
And he just keeps going with it and going and going and going.
And then I found it at least partially entertaining the way he decided to deliver the story. But then, like, I don't even think that I thought that the singing was laugh out loud funny. I think I was just sitting there agape, staring at the screen in shock.
I think I was like nervous laughing. I'm not sure what exactly to do, how to process this. So I just started laughing because it felt so surreal.
It is very surreal. So much of this is a surrealist experience.
Is there another trope you want to hit?
Yeah. The meddling friend being the main character.
I hated this.
I cannot express to people enough how icky it is. I know that some people find it really funny, but I think that the character choices were too far to be funny. I think that they were just destructive.
Yeah.
Over and over again, Jules decides to call George as a sounding board. And George obliges, even though he is trying to live his beautiful life and she keeps interrupting it, which was very irritating. But over and over again, she has the opportunity to stop what she's doing.
Yeah.
George essentially tells her over and over again in many beautiful moments of real talk and tenderness to a friend, but real talk, that she's got to stop.
Yeah.
And she doesn't listen.
No.
She refuses to listen.
Yeah.
And every single time she refuses to listen, she's made everything that much worse. And every single time, Michael and Kimmy find a way to talk their way through the problem.
Yeah.
And they're all devised by her, all within days of their wedding.
Which is a stressful enough time as it is.
They don't deserve any of this.
What stands out for me particularly is that even if you think what's best for your friend is him ending up with you, the things that you are doing to execute this are so detrimental to his well-being and his happiness. Like, we had the trope of the meddling a friend in Your Place or Mine, but the difference with that was sending the manuscript was benefiting her friend.
Yeah.
It was to help him.
The intentions were very good.
It wasn't damaging his career. It was something that he wouldn't have done himself.
Yeah.
And that's why I had such a problem with it in this movie.
She literally went out of her way to try to get her best friend fired.
Yes.
This wasn't a better job. He wasn't going to be happier.
He likes the traveling.
Yes. It was done with malice.
That's beyond messed up.
Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can even go through the list. Jules attempts to break them up by making Kimmy uncomfortable and feel less than at karaoke, by tricking Kimmy into a scheme to get Michael to leave his job that he loves and work a corporate job with her father, by having a romantic boat ride and getting him to realize how much he loves her. What else we have? Constantly meddling in the family affairs and reminding Kimmy over and over again how much she's the better person that Kimmy will never compete with.
Yeah.
By making jokes about even if Michael and Kimmy get married, Jules says to Michael, we'll just see each other twice a year for that affair.
Oh, and by telling Kimmy she'll never be Jell-O, and George wants Jell-O.
Right.
Not creme brulee.
Plus then the actual kiss and everything else.
Yeah, that too.
In addition to the firing, like, there's nothing redeeming about this character.
Mm-mm.
How are you supposed to cheer for someone like this? Even if it's Julia Roberts.
Yeah. It's so difficult because I'm trying to think now of some of the examples that Patrick Dempsey did to try and stop the wedding. And one of the things was like playing the bagpipes really loudly and serving haggis
Right.
at the kitchen tea. I mean, it's so innocuous.
Being so manly in the Highland Games.
Yeah.
Like...
Or like trying to own the fiancé in basketball.
Right.
And then he ends up being amazing at basketball.
By making the world's best gift baskets for the bridal shower. Like...
By reminding him how well he knows her.
Yes.
It's so silly.
Yeah.
That it doesn't feel hateful.
It's not.
Or mean. He's not screwing up her career. He's not, I don't know, trying to cause bodily harm.
Right.
He's not actively trying to place a wedge between the two of them.
Right. He's not getting the entire family involved in helping break this apart. Messy.
He doesn't even enlist the help of the other bridesmaids.
Right.
I don't know. It just made it really hard to be on her side. As soon as she gets the phone call that Michael is getting married, she's at dinner with George, and she immediately says, oh, I have to go. I have to go to Chicago right now. I have to stop a wedding. He loved me for 9 years, damn it. And it's like, my guy, you've had all this time to do something about it then.
Yeah, I immediately messaged Jane and was like, she doesn't love him.
Mm-hmm.
This is an extremely competitive person who works in an extremely competitive field who wants to win. And she's going to fly over there and be a nasty human being because of this unending urge to be a winner. And so it's not about love, it's about her ego.
And look, we've been going really hard at Jules, but Michael is not blameless by any means.
Oh, no.
In any of this either.
Codependent and loving the attention, for sure.
Yeah, when they're on the boat and he says, oh, you know, Kimmy and I don't even have a song. And then he starts singing what appears to be his and Jules' song and starts dancing with her. He doesn't set any boundaries. He doesn't try and help protect his fiancée.
Right.
When Jules makes all these snide comments, he doesn't check her.
Nope. Honestly, if I were gonna break this down as like a psychological study of a person type of thing, obviously not an expert, but it seems to me that he has invited her, number one, for his ego, and number two, so that he can be 100% positive that he's doing the right thing for himself because he has cold feet and he needs to know. And I get that. I get the cold feet thing. But you're manipulating another human being. You've brought somebody here that you know is going to cause problems, that maybe likes you. You have this moment where you're both talking past each other about just being honest, about saying that you love a person, and he means her.
Yes.
We all know this.
Yeah.
Like, there's no misconception. So you're playing a game for your ego and to assuage your worries about whether or not you're ready to get married instead of actually just dealing with your feelings.
Yeah. And
gross, dude. Fucking gross.
when he thought that Kimmy was the one who somehow helped get the email out and he's making all these calls, he kind of intimates that he and Jules should get together when they're talking about like taking this trip and that he's calling off the wedding. Cut to next day, she finds him there at the breakfast. He's chilling. He hasn't said anything to anybody. What is he doing? He's just vibing.
Yeah.
And so you could say that he's treating both of these women badly because he's kind of made Jules's expectation that he's choosing her while at the same time not truly pulling the plug on the wedding with Kimmy either.
Yeah.
So what is your plan, my guy?
He doesn't have a plan. He's not handling his feelings, and he's keeping both of his options open until the final moment.
Yeah.
Because he's a coward. It's not good. Kimmy doesn't deserve this.
No, she doesn't.
In that way, Jules and Michael deserve each other. They're rotten people who manipulate the people around them and treat them poorly for their own gains. And they should honestly leave everyone else out of it.
Yeah, they would have had a very excellent 20 years on again, off again, volatile relationship.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think Michael's going to be a better person for having someone like Kimmy in his life, but I don't know that he deserves that.
Especially the way he went off at Kimmy when she was, from her perspective, just trying to help as well. That encounter at the restaurant went from 0 to 100 so quickly. Like, he threw a little temper tantrum.
And Kimmy manages to be a goddamn saint about it.
Right? Justice for Kimmy.
Justice for Kimmy.
Goodness.
I truly hope that in this universe, Michael was panicking and going through these last little bits of his independence, that whole messiness in his heart. And I hope that he became a better person after it. I hope that he never spoke to Jules again and he rose to the occasion and was very good to Kimmy. That's my hope.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
I think it's possible.
Just based on the goodbye.
I do think it's possible.
But I don't think it's probable, just based on the goodbye.
A just world would not have Jules ever see Michael again.
Yes. Since we sort of going around Michael and him being kind of odd, I quickly want to hit on the a ring getting stuck trope.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So this is a very common trope. It's a lot of fun. It leads to a lot of shenanigans. But even the way this was executed, just standing in the office and randomly puts the ring on, where of course it gets stuck. And then we just cut to next scene and we don't see anything further happen. And I was like, I want more get the ring off shenanigans.
Yeah.
Like, give me some of those. I want to see her wrestling with it.
She can't get it off. She makes a little joke about it. And then in another psychotic moment of this film, instead of getting some soap or doing the string trick or anything like that, Michael puts her fingy in his mouth.
What the actual?
And sucks the ring off? What?
While they are lying very close to each other on the floor, mind you.
What is happening?
Any other form of liquid would have sufficed.
Literally.
It's a hotel room. There must be some sort of soap. There must be some sort of lotion or cream or something. Why is that your go-to move? He didn't even attempt with his hand. Like, it was immediately a finger suck.
And that's not actually going to be easier to do than just using some soap.
No, this is not the most effective way to accomplish getting this thing off.
No, this is just you, again, playing another game with this woman that you tricked into coming here so that you could have extra attention and bolster your ego before you got married to someone you were unsure about.
Yeah, and just looking at this objectively, he has no questions. Why did you put the ring on? No weirdness around that.
There are no questions, Jane, because he knows exactly why she put the ring on.
Right?
Because he knows why he brought her here.
This is my point.
Because he's manipulating them.
And leading her on.
Yeah.
You don't find that creepy or weird at all that your friend has this ring stuck on her finger.
He wanted the satisfaction of hearing Jules say, I love you, before he got married, so that he could be the one to say no to her. This was so
rough.
Gross. Like, the intent behind the entire visit, inviting her, having her be a part of the wedding, all of it was with the most malicious of intentions.
Yeah.
And this is like a generous interpretation of what he's doing. These people could be even more malicious than like me trying to say, I think psychologically he's going through a lot right before the wedding, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. Well, I think we way overdue to hit on some shenanigans.
Yeah, some actual fun bits. The intro!
The intro
is a cocaine nightmare.
I think I texted Jazz, what in the Stepford Wives hell is this?
I mean, like, the presence of it at the beginning of the film is an extremely clear indicator that this is meant to be a subversion. Like, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what in the fresh Stepford Wife hell is correct?
Especially because the song just kept going on. I was like, oh, okay, we're doing the whole thing. It's a full-on music video.
We're doing the entire song with this weird woman and bridesmaid thing. You hold him and love him and kiss him and hang on. Da, 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 da. It's like one of those weird 50s, 60s bop songs. I can't remember the name of it.
I think it was something like Hoping and Wishing. It's a fun time, the song itself. The context with which it's in is
weird. And I thought it was funny. And then it kept going, like Jane said. They did all of the verses, but by all of the verses, they just repeated the same thing like 3 times.
Yes.
With new choreo.
A shenanigan where Jules is having this meeting with George and she's gotten this call from Michael and she is under the impression that perhaps he's calling her because they're both approaching 28 and he might be evoking the pact that they'd made.
Right, that if they weren't married by 28, they would get married to each other.
Which is wild.
Wild.
The kicker is when she actually does call him, it's him telling her that he's getting married.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was about the pact, sort of.
And she falls off the bed.
Yeah, and then like the fever dream continues from the weird psychotic intro with characters we never see again.
True.
To the psychopathic pact where 28 makes you a spinster. She immediately jumps on a plane. They almost kiss upon hugging. And then who's behind them? Kimmy, who now wants you to be the maid of honor.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, why? And then she says this thing. I mean, I wish we'd seen more of the cousins.
I love the cousins.
They could have been very funny.
One of them is the redhead from True Blood, and then other stuff like Claus, and she's amazing, and I didn't realize she was in this film.
Oh, I didn't recognize her.
Yep.
My goodness.
Slay girl.
And Kimmy says she can't ask one of her cousins to be a maid of honor because they're in competition with each other or something. There was a convoluted reason.
Yeah.
Because understandably, Jules is like, why would you want me to be your maid of honor? We met 7 minutes ago.
That should have been the first indicator. Like, Kimmy's not entirely innocent. She
No.
made the ask for the maid of honor of Jules because she needed to keep an eye on her.
Yeah, she was implementing the keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Yeah, and to be fair, she was number one, right?
Yeah.
And number two, could have found more conniving ways to have gone about it other than inviting someone to be an important part of the wedding because you know they're your soon-to-be husband's best friend. Ultimately, yes, like she did have ulterior motives.
Yeah.
But like hers are so much more benign than anything else happening in this film.
Although the confrontation scene that she has with Jewel, another shenanigan, is when Kimmy stops the elevator to
I love this.
confront Jules while Jules is having what seems to be a panic attack of being in a confined space. So she's distracted and Kimmy is on a mission to ascertain what's going on with their relationship. And Jules is half answering Kimmy, but also just how do you feel when you in really small confined spaces and don't feel a way out?
Yeah, she's spinning out.
And the elevator opens and she's immediately flung into the thick of the whole family and it's just chaos.
From that moment alone, any sane human being, having been thrown out of the elevator and all of that happening, would say to themselves, maybe I should go home. Right?
Yeah, that's always an option.
That was the better option in this situation.
There were many points when she should have just gone home, including the wedding.
Oh my god.
Jules did not need to be at that wedding, and she did not need to be giving a toast.
After all of your scheming, after everything getting uncovered, you almost got him fired. You tried to break them up. You have this weird confrontation in the bathrooms at a baseball game in public.
Which was really funny.
And then you still went to the wedding?
Girl.
Again, take the L.
Yeah.
Go home.
Go home. Have a great time with George. He's hosting amazing dinners and going to book clubs and just having a wonderful, cozy life.
The amount of times George tries to remind her, you went out there for closure, you're going to wish them well, and you are going to come home. He says that to her over and over again, and she won't take the advice.
Another shenanigan is Jules constantly calling George and George letting it go to voicemail. And so the whole group is just hearing Jules rant on about how all these things are going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, anyway. And then they just return back to what they do.
George is living his beautiful life, and she
Mhm.
will not let him.
Or come back and join him in it.
Right?
She could have been at a fabulous dinner party instead of trying to get her best friend fired.
Stop putting your mess on everybody else. Handle it
Yeah.
and come back to hang out with George. Stop.
I can sympathize with the person that you love is marrying someone else, and that must be very hard to deal with.
Mhm.
But then don't put yourself through experiencing this.
Yeah.
Let alone trying to break it up. Wish them well, deal with your feelings.
Yeah. And there's also an element to this relationship between George and Jules where I don't know exactly how the hierarchy goes, but that's her editor.
Yeah.
Girl, you have codependent relationships. You
Mm.
need to get your shit together.
Oof. Any other shenanigans you want to touch on?
Yeah, the film does have its moments of humor. And again, everyone acted their heart out.
Yeah, they did.
I think that they did an excellent job in that regard. I don't have any issues with that.
It's very well cast.
Yes, but I truly cannot express to people enough that I spent the entire film with a stank face and I couldn't wipe it off.
Yeah.
If you want your body to have way too much fear adrenaline and you want to increase the frown lines on your forehead, then yes, this is the film for you. I don't know what to say about
Wait, so
the
what was the
stress
shenanigan you were talking about? That it
No,
gives
my
you
shenanigan is that I
stress?
couldn't wipe the stank off of my face.
Oh, okay.
That's a bad shenanigan. That's not great, guys. Oh, and I think that it's interesting for the audience to know that the only truly redeeming thing about the film is the very, very last scene.
Oh, that was good.
And it's not original to the film.
Yes, this is wild. Jasmine looked this up after we finished watching.
I went to the internet, as I do, looking for answers, and discovered that they finished filming. I don't remember what the internet said the actual ending originally was, but they aired it for test audiences. And the test audiences all said that Julianne is so unlikable that no one could leave feeling good. And production, editing, all of that decided that there's no way we can put out a film where people hate Julia Roberts at the end.
Yeah.
Like, it's not right. So they decided months, I think it was something like 7 months after filming had wrapped, to reshoot the final scene and add in a scene where dear sweet George has gotten back on another plane.
He's raking in those miles.
This is his 1, 2, 3rd flight in as many days. And George is actually shown up and is doing this, the call is coming from inside the house, but funny, at the reception.
A great monologue.
Great monologue. And it really is one of the only nice things about the film. Their friendship makes me feel like, okay, I choose to believe that Jules will learn and grow from this, and she may never get married, but she has a very good best friend, and they will be okay and live their lives in New York City.
Yeah. And they succeeded with the ending because I didn't feel so terrible because the ending was good. Like, they stuck the landing with the ending.
They did.
I still hated the character overall, but because Julia Roberts is so good, and I mean, George was just amazing, they really sold that ending for me.
Yeah, shout out Rupert Everett.
Yes.
We love you as George.
Phenomenal.
But yeah, I kind of wish I didn't see that because then it really does reaffirm what I was feeling, which is that you made a mistake trying to subvert this film.
Yeah.
And you did everything you set out to accomplish, and it did not work. Everyone hated it. And then you had to double back and make an emergency fix.
Yeah.
That's not great, you know? Like, you did stick the landing, but, like, you made it an emergency and it didn't have to be.
Yeah. One last really fun shenanigan before we move on.
Yay,
is-
happy shenanigans.
Yes, is a throwaway one, which I wish we'd seen a little bit more of. But when Jules is running in and they say, "Are you here to help one of the cousins?" And Jules is like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" She's got herself stuck on the ice sculpture. And Jules is like, okay, that's not so bad. And this aunt says, no, but it's an ice sculpture of David.
Which I
So you can just
immediately
imagine.
knew. Yeah.
Everyone knows
Absolutely.
what part of David she's stuck to. I have so many questions. First of all, why an ice sculpture of David
Because
at a wedding?
they're waspy types.
Not turtle doves, not swans making a heart. If you can't guess from my tone, I'm not really a big fan of ice sculptures in general. But like, why David?
Yeah, those two cousins from Texas are basically the other part of the movie that makes it fun.
So good. I would have loved to see more of them.
They're so funny.
Anyway, ending on a high shenanigan. That leads us to Fun Fab Fail. I mean, if you didn't guess from our caveat at the beginning and the rest of our rantings.
This is a big old fail for me.
Yeah, it's a fail. Back-to-back fails.
I know. I mean, if this were, like we said, a thriller from the perspective of Kimmy.
Oh, amazing.
That would make for a very interesting film.
I would have loved to see that.
Or George's own rom-com that he's handling his friend while he's having his own experience in New York, right? That would also be another great choice.
I would have loved to see the proposal between him and Kimmy. It sounded so sweet.
Yeah.
Him chasing her down as she's on the train and saying, marry me, and she says yes, and the conductor's there, and the people in the crowd, and the drama. I would have liked to see that.
Yeah, maybe a montage of relationships.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something.
I know that we're like not really focused on what's going on with him.
No. And what is a little bit different about this fail as opposed to the last episodes is it was almost a fail kind of on a technicality because of the chemistry and the actors almost being in two different movies.
Yeah.
But the foundation of it was, there was a lot going for it.
Yes. This is the opposite of that, in a way.
Yeah, like I didn't hate the characters in Overboard. It was just off and it wasn't good enough to watch again, disqualifying it from a fun.
This was an active fail, My Best Friend's Wedding.
Yeah, this is painful to watch because Julia Roberts was unlikable and I love Julia Roberts.
How do you make Julia Roberts unlikable?
In a movie where she's supposed to be the hero.
Yeah, honestly, that's unforgivable.
So that's a fail.
Yeah, if anybody wants to watch it knowing that they're not going to get together, maybe tell us if there's less anxiety and it's enjoyable.
That might shift your experience.
Or if anyone has a good example of subverting the rom-com trope as being successful.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to know either of those.
That would also be interesting. Please let us know. And before we tell you where you can let us know, let's do our favorite segment.
Give me the cheese, please.
Give me the cheese, please. All right. On your count.
3, a 2,
2,
a 1.
Bad
Culture
vegan
magazine.
cheese. Oh my goodness.
I think I accidentally went first 2 times in a row.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I remembered that I went second last time.
Okay, good.
So I will go first today. So my choice is a bad vegan cheese. I love that you're laughing because you know where I'm going with it.
There are good vegan cheeses, so I know that that's not it.
There are.
I already know.
There are good vegan cheeses. I've had some.
They are good.
I promise. This, however, is a bad vegan cheese.
And I would even say it's a bad vegan cheese when you were expecting regular good cheese.
No, that's where I'm going. It's just I didn't want to say like a whole essay.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm so glad I know exactly what this is.
This is exactly where I'm going with this, which is I don't have an issue with trying to have that cheese experience as someone who is vegan or someone who is looking to incorporate other alternatives into their diet. What I do take issue with, on the other hand, is executing it badly.
Yep.
Have you had a bad vegan cheese? It's so disappointing.
I have. I've had really, really good ones, and
Yeah.
I've had one really bad one.
And so with this, I took a bit of a deep dive into vegans adapting to eating vegan cheese. I read a couple of blog posts.
That's incredible.
So this person was talking about how she and her partner was switching from vegetarianism to veganism, and she said they struggled for a long time to get used to the taste of vegan cheese. And she says it does take some time. So much like this movie, maybe with a second watch, if you know what's happening and you know what to expect, it will be more palatable or enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And she said once she found like some artisanal vegan cheeses, it was really easy. You can even find vegan cheeses that melt.
Oh, that's the one that I've had.
Yes.
They're not good, though.
Oh.
Those are really bad.
I've had one that melted that was good.
Oh, okay.
It was on a vegan pizza. It didn't have the pull that you're looking for in a mozzarella on a pizza, but other than that, I couldn't really tell the difference. But it melted really well.
I've never had a good vegan mozz.
The consistency was actually really good.
Oh, that's good. I'll have to find it.
So, because I haven't watched The Breakup, I still think it could be possible to subvert the genre and have it work somehow. Maybe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for me, this was not that, which is disappointing because, like we said, everyone was acting really well.
Yeah.
It was filmed really well.
Beautiful shots.
So there were a lot of things going for it, but it ultimately left me feeling kind of sad, which I think a bad vegan cheese will definitely accomplish.
Yeah.
That's that.
Makes perfect sense.
Thank you.
So for me, this is not even a cheese, really. This is Culture Magazine, a foremost cheese magazine purveyor. Yeah, okay, so number one, the name is so funny to me, Culture Magazine, cheeky.
Yes, that is cheeky.
So these two people are writers, and so I felt like number one, that already worked. Even Jules herself is a food writer and critic.
Yeah.
So the magazine thing works perfect for me. The plot and idea that you would show up for a person you on again, off again, once in a while see over the course of the last 7 years is paper thin of a plot. Yeah, there we go. And finally, the last reason why this has to be Culture Magazine as opposed to an actual physical cheese is that if I am currently on a 72-hour cocaine bender, which is approximately the amount of time she spends in Chicago, then you're not actually eating anything. You're gonna maybe look at cheese in this magazine, but you're not hungry at all. And so,
oh man,
for all those reasons, yeah, the cocaine-fueled manic insanity of this film makes me feel like this is Culture Magazine as opposed to an actual physical cheese.
Oh, goodness. I still enjoy this segment. Still my
Yay.
favorite. Yes.
The segment still slaps, even if the movie doesn't.
Well, there you have it. That was our discussion of my best friend's wedding.
Let us know your thoughts on the movie. Any shenanigans we might have missed. Like, if you want to watch this with your eyes wide open and tell us if it was more palatable, or what cheese you think it is.
You can follow us on Instagram at shenanigansensuepod, or you can email us at shenanigansensuepod@gmail.com.
We hope you'll join us next time. And until then, maybe there won't be marriage, there won't be sex, but there will be dancing.
Bye.
Bye.
Dancing is always good.
Yeah. Dance it out, girl.
Dance the night away.
You made a lot of mistakes today.
Oh, yeah.
You made a lot of mistakes this weekend. Dance it out.